When we were walking through our Hyper-V installation, I referenced a couple of things that you can set in your configuration that can be changed later on if you don't set them at the time of installation. So real quick, I just want to show you where those are at. If you go in, and I've got Hyper-V Manager open here already, if you go to your Hyper-V settings, these are settings for the Hyper-V platform itself, not necessarily for virtual machines. Individual virtual machines will configure differently a little bit later on. So here are where those settings are at. So the first one right here, virtual hard disks, where are we going to store them? We went with the default when we did the installation, but if you want to change that now, this is where you would change that after the fact. Remember, these are default settings. They can be overwritten. So when I create a virtual machine or a virtual hard disk, it doesn't have to go to the default location if I don't want it to. I can put it somewhere else. Virtual machine locations. Now, virtual hard disks take up a lot of space. Virtual machine definitions really don't. They're pretty small files. So you can put those in separate locations if you want to. Personally, I don't see a huge boost in performance if I do that, but if you did want to separate them, you could. NUMA spanning has to do with non-uniform memory architecture. So if your underlying physical computer has NUMA nodes, you can allow virtual machines to span that, which may give them more memory than they could have on a single NUMA node, but you may see an overall drop in performance. So if you're not memory bound, but you're noticing some performance issues with virtual machines, you might want to try turning this off and just seeing if it makes a difference. Now, one of our other things we looked at was live migrations. Remember, we looked at options for setting up live migrations when we did the install. Here's where I can go change this. I can enable incoming and outgoing live migrations. I can specify the number of live migrations that are allowed. Live migrations and storage migrations take a ton of network time. So that leads us to this. Do we want to use a specific network? If we have more than one network adapter and we've got them tied to different physical networks, a multi-home configuration, then I might want to use one for client access and maybe use a separate isolated one for migrations if I'm going to be doing a lot of them. And that's what these options here are for. For storage migrations, we can specify the number of simultaneous storage migrations we want. Notice the default for both of those is 2. We limit that because of how resource and network intensive those migrations are. And then if we want to do replica configurations and set enhanced session mode policies. So enhanced sessions give some more options, like it gives you the ability to copy and paste between the remote operating system and the virtual machine. You can choose to allow that or not, and this is where you would set that. Okay, so just a few quick things that I wanted you to know where they were at in case you needed to come back and modify them a little bit later on.